Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Monday, June 29th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Amitha Sharma. San Diego County leaders say they aren't waiting for orders from the governor. They're taking action now. On Wednesday, all bars, breweries, and wineries in our county that do not serve food will have to close. It comes as the county reports 498 new COVID-19 cases, yet another record. No additional deaths from the virus were reported. KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman has the latest.
We've been so fixated on the when, not as responsibly focused on the how to safely reopen.
As the state sees an uptick in cases and percentage of positive cases, a renewed call from the governor for enforcement of reopening guidelines from face coverings to social distancing mandates.
We will be stepping up our enforcement in the state of California. The critical need to mitigate this transmission also requires enforcement.
Newsom says he's allocating $2 billion in his state budget so counties can go after bad actors.
If people are flaunting those rules and regulations or disregarding or throwing out those guidelines, we want to continue to work with our county officials and local officials to help us enforce that.
Yesterday, the governor ordered bars to close in 7 counties, including Los Angeles, and recommended closing them in 8 other counties.
The bottom line is we're doing this because we have seen an increase in the spread of this virus.
The governor did not ask bars to close in San Diego, but today county officials decided to do it anyway. They've again ordered bars, breweries, and wineries that don't have a license to serve food to shut their doors starting at midnight on Wednesday.
We've seen significant increases in the number of cases. We've seen jumps in the percentage of positives, and we've seen increases in our hospitalizations. The reality is this forces us to take action now.
County officials say they have seen some outbreaks at bars and restaurants here and say generally bars present a lot of challenges.
The simple reality that alcohol consumption impairs judgment and may lead to less compliance.
Officials are also again requiring that alcoholic drinks can only be ordered at restaurants with food.
This means you can't go to a restaurant that serves beer, alcohol, or wine and just sit at a table and drink. Any drinks you consume must be a part of your meal.
Officials say these measures are meant to regain control.
We simply cannot celebrate July 4th as we've done in the past. Please limit July 4th celebrations to only members of your household.
The county's public health officer says these are not easy decisions to make.
Our intent is not to shut down society, but our intent is to curb the spread of COVID-19.
One thing is clear: when state and county health officials see the virus's numbers trending in the wrong direction, they will take action to mitigate spread. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
More than a dozen states began the week with a pause on reopening as new coronavirus epicenters emerge. Case counts are on the rise in more than 30 states, and officials are very anxious about the upcoming July 4th weekend, when Americans will want to flock to beaches and parties and other gatherings. More now from reporter Karen Kaifa.
Restrictions re-implemented in states with surging coronavirus cases ahead of the July 4th weekend.
We are quite clearly talking about people's lives.
New epicenters are emerging in the South and West, including Arizona and Florida, where the number of new daily cases is rivaling New York's peaks. Some South Florida counties will close beaches for the holiday.
The community spread that would go with that amount of people on the beach, we're not in a position to handle that.
California has closed bars in at least 7 counties. Officials concerned reopening gave the wrong impression.
I think there was just a false sense of security that when things started easing up, it meant that it was more safe. What it really meant is that we were prepared.
In Texas, where hospitalizations are quickly climbing, they've also closed bars and scaled back restaurant capacity.
I just think people are failing to adhere to the basics that you've got to do that only medical experts agree on, and that's the face coverings, social distancing, and washing your frequently.
Experts say those basics are critical right now.
How do we keep it somewhere in a slow burn mode without being able to close down completely or without letting it run willy-nilly in our society?
Thank you for the space.
Despite new spikes, more Americans are taking off. TSA checkpoints from last Thursday to Sunday saw a new pandemic high point of 2.3 million passengers. In Washington, Karen Katha, KPBS News.
In a deal to save his own life, the so-called Golden State Killer has pleaded guilty to dozens of counts of first-degree murder, rape, and kidnapping. 74-year-old Joseph James D'Angelo, a former police officer, admitted to terrorizing victims across California in the 70s and 80s. In 2018, D'Angelo was arrested by Sacramento police. Detectives say a DNA sample from a crime scene was sent to a genealogy website, and that's what helped crack the case. Prosecutors say D'Angelo will serve 15 consecutive life sentences in exchange for pleading guilty. He will not face the death penalty. A 25-year-old man is in intensive care after two San Diego police officers shot him downtown Saturday evening. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says under pressure from transparency advocates, the police department released video of the shooting in record time. We want to warn you, this video may be disturbing.
Body camera footage from the two officers begins with them in the car driving down 6th Avenue at 5:47 p.m. on Saturday. SDPD says they stopped and got out to approach a man they recognized from a wanted poster in connection to a recent robbery. The man is 25-year-old Leonardo Hurtado Ibarra of San Diego.
Hey man, let me talk to you for a second. Stop! Stop!
Ibarra starts walking away, but the situation escalates quickly. The shooting was also captured by a streetlight camera. This footage shows Ibarra reaching into his waistband and pointing an object at one of the officers before they shoot him. Police say the object was this revolver wrapped in a bandana. After shooting Ibarra, the officers administered CPR and he was taken to the hospital. Protesters gathered at the shooting site on Saturday evening and again on Sunday. They called on the police to release footage of the shooting immediately. The police did so later Sunday afternoon, but not before they released this still image from the video. Critics see that as an attempt by police to spin the narrative rather than letting the full video in context speak for itself.
Stop today releasing still photos of officer-involved shootings until after video footage, whether it's from a building or video footage from the body-worn camera. We want a whole perspective of a situation, not a half perspective.
As of Sunday evening, Ibarra remains in intensive care with life-threatening injuries. The names of the two officers who shot him have not been released. They were placed on administrative leave, which is standard practice, while homicide detectives investigate the shooting. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
The trials of 4 police officers charged with killing George Floyd could be moved out of Minneapolis. That was the warning from the judge today, saying public officials and attorneys should stop talking about the case. It was the second pretrial hearing for the fired officers. Derek Chauvin, charged with second-degree murder in Floyd's death, appeared remotely by video. The other 3 officers appeared in person. Each is charged with aiding and abetting second-degree murder and aiding and abetting second-degree manslaughter. A bipartisan group of congressional leaders wants answers about reports Russia offered bounties to Taliban fighters to kill U.S. troops. Now, questions surround the intelligence community and the Trump administration over who knew what and when. Nadia Romero explains.
Shockwaves across Washington.
This is an extremely alarming report
over revelations that Russian intelligence services offered money to Taliban fighters for killing American and British troops in Afghanistan.
Assuming this reporting is credible, it's obviously serious and very disturbing.
The New York Times reporting President Trump was briefed on the intelligence back in March, which the president denied, tweeting, "Intel just reported to me that they did not find this info credible and therefore did not report it to me or Vice President. Possibly another fabricated Russia hoax, maybe by the fake news, wanting to make Republicans look bad." White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany says the intelligence was never verified.
There is no consensus within the intelligence community on these allegations.
Now, members of Congress on both sides are demanding answers.
If it were to be true or anything like it, it would be consistent with the Russian practice over the last several years of doing its best secretly to try to undermine Western governments, including the United States.
This is as serious as it gets. Our men and women in uniform, they are willing to do so much for our country, but we cannot put them at a disadvantage.
At least 7 Republican lawmakers were briefed Monday, while a small group of Democrats expect to be briefed Tuesday morning as concerns mount over the danger posed to U.S. and coalition troops in the region.
At the White House, I'm Nadia Romero.
Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador reconfirmed today he will soon travel to the United States to meet with President Trump. López Obrador said the main reason for the trip is the beginning of the USMCA trade agreement scheduled to take effect July 1st. He didn't give an exact date for his trip, saying only it wouldn't be this week. Mexico is moving forward with its next phase in reopening amid the coronavirus pandemic. The new measures will allow sports centers, restaurants, and hotels to reopen with up to a 30% occupancy rate. Mexico City's historic center will also reopen its streets, which will include open-air markets, portable vendors, beauty salons, department stores, and shopping centers. Mexico has the 7th highest number of COVID-19 deaths worldwide, behind Spain. The pandemic has put a hold on naturalization ceremonies at San Diego's Golden Hall, which has been converted into a homeless shelter. But as KPBS reporter Max Rivlin-Nadler shows us, thousands of immigrants have become citizens in drive-through ceremonies.
Behind a community center in El Cajon lay the end to the long journey towards citizenship.
No tickets, nothing like that? No. Perfect.
Drivers are asked if they have any coronavirus symptoms, if they've been arrested recently, and if they're ready to surrender their green card.
You have your green card?
Sure.
They enter a roundabout.
Who's naturalizing today?
And hold up their right hand to pledge allegiance to their new country.
I hereby declare on oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty.
And just like that, they're citizens.
Congratulations to you both. You are now our newest United States citizens.
600 people from 68 countries participated in the drive-through ceremony on Monday morning.
I'm from France originally.
I am originally from Afghanistan, in Nangarhar province.
And Yucatan in Mexico.
It's part of an effort by U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services to provide a safe way to become citizens during the coronavirus pandemic. They've been holding these daily in San Diego since early June. One of those brand new citizens was Belinda Rodriguez,
Good? Woo! Yeah, everything fine. Woo! Woo! Congratulations!
who was born in Mexico. She's been trying to become a citizen for 20 years. She came to the ceremony with her sister and niece. She didn't think her naturalization would be quite like this.
Oh, no, it's very different. Not in these conditions, but I'm excited also. So I'm very emotional and excited about it, and I'm very happy.
Without the monthly ceremonies at Golden Hall, which fits thousands of people, USCIS has had to play catch-up for the 3 months with no ceremonies.
It's actually really fun. So Golden Hall is a great ceremony, but this makes it a lot more personal almost, and so the officers get to participate in ways that they normally don't get to at Golden Hall. And it's really fun being able to talk to people as they're driving through and get to hear a little bit of their stories.
Perfect. Where are you from? Indonesia. Where are you from? Mexico.
Neera Renier from India came to the drive-through naturalization with her daughter and mother. She had become a citizen a decade ago at Golden Hall. Her mother was naturalizing at the drive-through.
I called my sister and I said, I feel like this is so SoCal. Everything happens quickly.
They were going to go to Solana Beach to celebrate in a safe, socially distant way.
Last time I was in Gaslamp.
What each new citizen said they were looking forward to most this year? Voting in elections this November.
It's my first thinking to vote, yeah.
The drive-through ceremonies will wrap up at the end of this week, as USCIS looks for ways to safely bring back larger ceremonies. In El Cajon, Maxwell Adler, KPBS News.
SDG&E customers will get a break on their power bill this summer. The utility says it will implement a 5% discount starting July 1st. It applies to all 3 time of use periods. SDG&E says the reason is because it knows more people will be at home and dealing with the summer heat during the COVID-19 pandemic. The discount comes before a 4% rate hike scheduled for November 1st. We start off the week with June gloom and even some rain, but it's heating up the closer we get to July. Mark Mancuso has your forecast.
Well, it's been an interesting start to the week, hasn't it, with our cool conditions and a little bit of rain during the morning. Now, as we take a look ahead, there'll be a gradual warming trend this week, but we'll continue with the night and morning coastal clouds. And by the time the weekend rolls around, temperatures will be near to a little bit above average, so it will be warmer. Now here's the trough that was responsible for our morning rain. Pretty strong trough, and we've had some strong gusty winds in the interior sections as well with it. Overnight tonight, though, just some lingering clouds here coming into Oceanside, San Diego, and over towards Escondido, Ramona, and El Cajon. Borrego Springs down to 66 tonight, Mount Laguna 47. For tomorrow, that trough starts to lift out a little bit, so we will be looking at a dry day, not quite as cool as today. We'll see clouds giving way to some sun. 74 in Oceanside, San Diego 72, Escondido 78, and El Cajon's at 82. Borrego Springs is up to 100, and Mount Laguna at 71. Temperatures will continue to rise here, getting to our typical summer regime now here Wednesday into Thursday. So we're talking 100 degrees plus in the deserts, and we'll have the onshore flow with our night and morning clouds at the coast, and the temperatures will be creeping up just a bit. So here's our extended forecast. Temperatures in the mid-70s the next couple of days, but there you can see our gradual warming. By the weekend, it's looking pretty nice. Here in the interior sections, inland we go, and we'll see temperatures rising to the low 80s Thursday, upper 80s by Saturday. In the mountains, we'll see temperatures hovering close to 70, and then by the weekend it is just beautiful. And in the desert areas, well, we'll see, of course, dry conditions, and it does look like the winds will be lighter, plenty of sunshine, and getting hotter over the weekend. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Mark Mancuso.
After 126 years, the Confederate flag will not fly as part of Mississippi's state flag. The bill for the flag to be redesigned is awaiting the governor's signature after it passed in the House and the Senate.
I voted 37-14, the bill passes.
A 9-member commission will be created to design the new flag. The new design can't include the Confederate emblem and must include the phrase, "In God We Trust." Voters must approve the flag's redesign in November. If they don't approve it, they'll try again with a new design.
I want people to understand this change is coming from within our state. This is not the result of outside influences. The hearts of the people in that chamber behind me were changed on this.
Now that this is gone, that I think that now people begin to say, they'll begin to look and see who the real Mississippi is. They'll begin to see that we are more than what that flag represents. That we are people that care for each other, that are willing to work together, and are willing to go forward together. And that's what that says today.
The bill will now go to Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves, who says he will sign it into law. A Supreme Court decision today is being viewed as a win for supporters of abortion rights. Chief Justice John Roberts sided with the liberal justices to block a controversial Louisiana abortion law that would have closed nearly every clinic in the state. It would have required any doctor who performed the procedure to have admitting rights at a nearby hospital. 4 years ago, the court struck down a similar law in Texas. The number of U.S. women experiencing complications during pregnancy and childbirth has climbed more than 30% in recent years, and this pandemic is having a profound impact on prenatal care and delivery, according to new data. Mandy Gaither has more.
The coronavirus pandemic is impacting how pregnant women seek care and give birth, according to a report conducted by researchers at Blue Cross Blue Shield. Surveys of more than 1,000 commercially insured women ages 18 to 44 who were pregnant or gave birth in March or April this year found more than 1 in 4 missed prenatal visits. 53% weren't able to have a loved one in the delivery room during childbirth, and 15% shifted to a home birth. Researchers also examined 1.8 million pregnancies between 2014 and 2018 and determined the number of women who have experienced complications before and during childbirth in recent years has climbed 31.5%. The number of women diagnosed with postpartum depression increased by nearly 30%. The data showed more women had chronic health conditions from 2015 to 2018 before becoming pregnant. Those pre-existing conditions can raise the risk of pregnancy and childbirth complications and include high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, obesity, and major depression. For today's Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
We are starting to get an idea of the financial cost of COVID-19 treatment. Gilead Sciences is no longer donating the drug remdesivir to the U.S. government. The price will now be $390 per vial. A typical treatment is 6 vials. Meanwhile, the price for U.S. private insurance companies will be $520 per vial. Remdesivir is the only drug that has an emergency use authorization from the FDA. Not everyone is happy about California's face covering mandate, and some aren't afraid to show it. Tom Waite shows us video from Los Angeles that's going viral.
Cameron is showing out in Trader Joe's.
A customer at Trader Joe's recorded a woman throwing a tantrum over wearing a face covering inside the store that just hours earlier celebrated its grand opening here in North Hollywood.
My doctor would not let me wear a mask. So anyone harassing me to wear a mask, you guys are violating federal law. You get that? Get that on camera.
Trader Joe's employees, calm and collected, tried to escort the woman from the store. Customers were disgusted by the woman's behavior.
Yeah, she was saying like she had or breathing problems, right? Then she would want to be like protected, so it just makes no sense.
You gotta wear a mask. That's the guidelines are wear a mask. It's respectful to other people. I mean, it's not just about what feels right for you or what selfishly is best for you. It's about protecting everybody.
This video went viral. Millions watched and commented on it, including Trader Joe's employees. One posted, "As a Trader Joe's employee, I can't go a day without being obligated to politely take some level of outrage related to masks. You have to wear a mask for 20 minutes to shop. I have to wear it over 8 hours a day."
Anyone harassing me to wear a mask, you guys are violating federal law. You get that?
That was Tom Waite reporting. People with medical conditions that prevent them from wearing masks are exempt from the state mandate. The woman in the video says she has a medical issue that makes it hard for her to breathe out of her nose. Broadway's longest shutdown ever will now extend until January. The Broadway League is offering refunds and exchanges for tickets bought for all performances through January 3rd. Returning productions are projected to resume performances over a series of rolling dates in early 2021. Tickets for next winter and spring performances are expected to go on sale in the coming weeks. 3 former U.S. presidents are tipping their caps to honor the centennial of baseball's Negro Leagues, which paved the way for modern Major League Baseball.
Today, I'm tipping my hat to everybody in the Negro Leagues who left a century-long legacy of talent and spirit and dignity on our country. So here's to Satchel Paige, Josh Gibson, Cool Papa Bell, and everybody else, including 3 brave women who did us all proud.
Former Texas Rangers owner President George Bush honored Willie Mays, while President Clinton tipped a Chicago Cubs cap in honor of Ernie Banks. The online tributes will continue until baseball's opening day, set for July 23rd.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, cases of COVID-19 spike across the globe, forcing an end to many reopening efforts. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
And here's another look at today's top stories. San Diego County leaders are taking action as the number of COVID-19 cases rise. On Wednesday, all bars, breweries, and wineries in our county that do not serve food will have to close. It comes as the county reports 498 new cases, yet another record. No additional deaths were reported. The San Diego Police Department released video of an officer-involved shooting. 2 SDPD officers shot 25-year-old Leonardo Hurtado Ibarro downtown on Saturday. The officers say he looked like a suspect in a robbery. Streetlight camera footage shows him pulling something from his waistband and the officers opening fire. He is in the ICU. The so-called Golden State Killer has pleaded guilty to dozens of counts of first-degree murder, rape, and kidnapping. 74-year-old Joseph James D'Angelo, a former police officer, admitted to terrorizing victims across California in the 70s and 80s. Prosecutors say he will serve 15 consecutive life sentences in exchange for pleading guilty. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us and have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.